So, Dr. Christina, I have a question, 4 questions. The first one is, what is the most challenging things to build hybrid workplaces? How to deal with it?
That's a very difficult question. So I will start by saying that what has been most challenging for people in a hybrid workplace is developing a culture that serves the best interests of both the business and employees at the same time. For workers, we are really thinking about what's their sense of purpose in being a member of that organization. How do they feel a part of it and feel connected to it in a way that really builds commitment and a sense of loyalty to the organization. And on the leader side, how do we create working conditions that build worker engagement and also the conditions that will support people doing their best work? So what does hybrid have to do with that? Hybrid means that you've got people working in 2 different places at different times. And you don't have a cohort of people, a consistent cohort of people in the workplace over time. And when you can't predict who will come to the office, come to the work site on any given day, whether you're an employee or a manager or a leader, then it makes it very difficult for cohesion to happen. And cohesion is absolutely necessary for a culture to develop which binds people together, either through a sense of purpose or through a sense of relationships, or the impact that the organization can have. So that is the big challenge. So the answer is to be more intentional about who's at the work site at the same time. So instead of people having complete free choice, you actually have dedicated days where particular employees, managers, and leaders are present in the office for that cohesion to develop. And then the rest of the time, they can work remotely, but with built-in structures and schedules so they stay connected when they're working remotely. So that's the challenge, is to try to create some sort of boundaries around who works where when, but it still allows people to work in a flexible way, in a predictable manner. So all of that has to gel just right for that to work well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I have another questions about this. You said that building a culture is so difficult stuff for hybrid workplaces. So I think that some of the companies are trying to manage who come to the office, like same department, same job, or same roles, or different or mixed other departments. So which one is better, or we have to balance them?
It's both, Maza-san. And the reason is you want to bring together on the same day, same place, same time, all those people who really need to see each other and touch base with each other. You know, what we don't recognize is that managers want to have a hybrid schedule as well. And so we have them working remotely, and they're hard to get a hold of, just like, the workers are. So we have to identify who are the people who really need to interact together. And that means not just the team, but the management and the leadership connected to the team. Now, having said that, you want to have other teams come at the same time when you want them to interact with each other. And the reason why I think that is critical is that innovation comes from interaction with people who are different from your own perspective. So having the opportunity to meet people who are outside of your professional network, to socialize with people outside your network, and to be exposed to people who are looking at problems differently from you, that is actually the foundation for innovation and creativity, because innovation and creativity doesn't come from a problem-solving group. It comes from people being exposed, letting that percolate, marinate in the brain. And when people have an opportunity to defocus and be in a calm, restorative space, outside, on a walk, in a meditation room, whatever it is, when they have that permission to defocus and not be thinking about work, that's when the different ideas start entering the picture. It's, I've done a whole study on creativity and innovation, a literature review, and having people sit near people different from themselves, instead of collecting people as a team, mix them up. It's called the next bench effect.
Yeah, I think HR managers or leaders are wondering how often employees come together. So do you have any ideas of that?
Well, you have to consider what's their cycle, their productivity cycle. It doesn't have to be the same for everyone, but it should be the same for the people who have to work together. So you could have all different combinations, but the key here is to really understand your business and to understand what is required. And so at a minimum, I see people are saying at least 2 days a week in the office, possibly 3. But having said that, you still got people with different schedules. So you also have to bound, what are the hours you absolutely have to be there? And there should be at least a 5-hour period of time that everyone who needs to talk to each other is actually there and available. Okay, so again, you've got to curate and constrain and schedule these things intentionally. But for some reason, there is really a hands-off perspective on this, which is just we can specify how many days you're supposed to be in a week or month, and we'll let you decide. So, you can see that I feel pretty passionate about this. That's really about predictability. We have to make the work predictable so that people can utilize their time best. And it's when people can't get resources, can't get the people they need to talk to, can't get the meeting rooms, can't finish something because they're missing, one thing. That is what makes very long work hours and a high frustration and stressful situation. So if we make work life more predictable in terms of how people can utilize their time best, with the right resources, the right access, etc., we're going to have a lot more happy people. And it doesn't matter whether they're working from home or they're working on site. In both conditions, you want them to be able to use their time wisely. And that means a whole lot of things around them have to be predictable, if that makes sense. And I'm not seeing that conversation at all.
So HR managers have to make a plan, schedule before doing something.
Yeah, I think so. Well, within, some bounds, there should be a lot of flexibility around the edges, and not small edges, still substantial time. But the idea is that there's a predictable time that you can find other people, you can find the resources, you can access something. And, we deal with unpredictability in a variety of ways in our daily life. We know when we can get something. We know when we can't get something. And we just adjust our lives around that. Kids have to be at school at a certain time. Okay, I can't go for a run, or I can't do something. So we live with constraints because we want predictability, but we also want flexibility so that we can fit in everything else that is unique to ourselves.